And then, Neek, let's go to Philly. If I had said Jalen Hurts and the Eagles are going to win the NFC Championship as they did 2 years ago, you believe it or not?
I absolutely believe that. I think their shortcomings last year have been addressed by removing Nick Sirianni's participation in the offense and handing it over to Kellen Moore, Vic Fangio, taking care of that defense with all the talent that they have over there, and Jalen Hurts having a much better way to answer some of the challenges that defenses showed him last year. And I haven't even gotten to adding Saquon Barkley. So, yeah, this team is loaded, and I think they get the job done in the NFC.
Yeah, from a talent perspective, they're remarkable. But I want to talk about Hurts in particular. We all understand the expectations. We all understand the word redemption is connected to that. Not everyone is sold on this. This I found really interesting. It's from The Athletic. There was an anonymous defensive coach, Bart,
our favorite people,
who said this. Yeah, we don't love the anonymous quotes of this kind, but you tell me if it's right. Talking about Jalen Hurts, he said, the word is out there. If you run zero blitz against Hurts or show zero and back everyone out, he will panic. That has to change. They lose Jason Kelsey, who handled the protections, basically did everything, and you bring in a coordinator who likes to drop back. It will be interesting. That coordinator is Kellen Moore, who likes to throw the ball a lot. Now, the first thing I always worry about is that we use these expressions, and not every football fan necessarily knows what they mean. So very briefly, when people say zero blitz and that Jalen Hurts struggles against that, what does it mean, and is it right?
Well, that means a zero blitz means that you have man-to-man across the board, no help, and you have one more that you can bring than they can block.
So they're rushing too many people through the block.
You have one more to block. You don't know who's going to be the free man, but somebody's going to be free either inside or outside because the quarterback counts as 11, so it's really 11 against 10 when you think about football.
Okay.
So they get one free, and you have to make a quick decision quickly. Some people like to go quick screen. Some people like to retreat a lot and run routes, but it's basically something that makes you have to make a quick decision.
So let's put the full screen, Matt, if I can, B17 up there. 2 years ago, under the previous offensive coordinator, Shane Steichen, Jalen Hurts was great against the blitz. He threw 10 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Dominique, last year, he threw 5 touchdowns and 8 interceptions, which was the most of any quarterback against the blitz. So the criticism sounds at least as though statistically it bears out. Neek, what does this mean? Does this mean that Jalen Hurts has a fatal flaw?
No, I mean, it's a fair criticism of last season. I think we owe it to Jalen Hurts, especially based on the article that Jeremy Fowler wrote earlier this offseason, to understand that there weren't a ton of answers there. In part is because, at least in those reports, that Nick Sirianni was too involved in the offense, and he wanted a simplistic offense when this offense needed to evolve to add more dimension. So I have to say that Jalen Hurts is to blame for some of it, but I think overall, if you give him an answer, he's shown that he's probably the most adaptive quarterback we've had. As good as he's gotten, as quickly as he's gotten, he's obviously very smart and can learn. If you give him an answer, he will be able to find it. And dealing with the knee injury last year, I think hinders him also in being attacked with the zero blitz. So I think that Jalen Hurts will be fine in this situation if they give him an answer, a quick answer to make to avoid that pressure.
Steve, I think Philadelphia's got a heck of a chance to return to a Super Bowl. I wouldn't make them the favorite out of the NFC only because of their defense from last year, but they are in the mix. I got to make Detroit and San Francisco the 2 favorites, but they're in the mix to get back to a Super Bowl. I don't think there's any question about it.
I mean, you have to tip your cap off to Howie Roseman. I don't know what type of John Wick marker he has on these other general managers. Why would you let Dotson go within the division, which only added to the weaponry that Jalen Hurts had? But Mad Dog, you hit it on the head when you talk about the defense. I'm concerned with this defense. It wasn't the offense. The offense was bad at the end, but the defense was horrible, historically horrible. When you think about their inability, they traded for Shaq Leonard last year to try and shore up at the second level. I think last year they really missed C.J. Gardner-Johnson. They brought him back. Let's see if he can be the player that he was for them before. Devin White's going to have to step up and, be that quarterback on that side of the ball. They lost a lot of leadership when you think about losing Kelsey, who I believe was the leader on both sides of the ball, but also Fletcher Cox. They're going to have to figure out how to stop guys get off the field. And I worry about, Kellen Moore, coming over there because sometimes he falls in love too much with throwing the ball. You remember, a couple years ago when Dak Prescott had that great year, he also threw 15 interceptions. I think, we have to figure out who is the real Jalen Hurts. Is it the one that we saw struggle against Tom Brady, being sophisticated and going back and reading defenses, or it's the one under Steichen who was able to really give him that read option type of look, quick reads, easy developing plays? Who is he? And when they ask him to do more, is he capable of doing more? He definitely has the weaponry around him, the roster to do it. But I'm a little concerned that maybe, just maybe, their window is closed a little bit because of the ascension of the Lions, and San Francisco window is still open.
Well, you can talk about the ascension of the Lions and you talk about San Francisco all you want to. You can look at it that way. We can look at it in a different way. With coming to the Lions, you just arrived there, so you should still be had because you're still young pups to some degree. You haven't been conditioned for prosperity.
Jalen Hurts' fatal flaw is no longer a minor concern. It's a ticking time bomb that threatens to derail the Philadelphia Eagles' entire season. The NFL has figured out how to neutralize Hurts, and the pressure is mounting like never before. This isn't just speculation anymore. Defensive coordinators are actively targeting his vulnerability to the zero blitz, and the results have been catastrophic. As Stephen A. Smith has pointed out, this kind of flaw is the difference between good quarterbacks and legends. And right now, Hurts is teetering on the edge of failure. The 2023 season exposed a harsh truth. Hurts struggled with reading defenses under intense pressure, throwing a career-high 15 interceptions. And now, with the loss of veteran center Jason Kelce, who was critical in handling protections, the Eagles' offensive line is more vulnerable than ever. Opposing defenses are ready to exploit this weakness, and Hurts' tendency to panic under pressure could be the fatal flaw that sends the Eagles spiraling. Nick Bosa and the San Francisco 49ers laid the blueprint for shutting down Hurts, forcing him to stay in the pocket and stripping away his ability to escape and make plays on the run. Bosa's chilling words after their dominant win against the Eagles, "We put the blueprint out there," reverberated throughout the league as other teams followed suit. Stephen A. Smith has emphasized the importance of adapting to adversity, and Hurts' ability to respond to this growing threat will define not only his season, but his entire career. The Eagles' collapse in 2023 wasn't just about Hurts' interceptions, it was a systemic failure. Nick Sirianni's offensive scheme became predictable and ineffective, with deep routes that took too long to develop and short bubble screens that defenses easily snuffed out. Hurts was left exposed, and his once unshakable confidence began to erode. This season, with a new offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore, there's hope for a revival. But the question remains, can Hurts evolve and overcome his fatal flaw? Adding to the drama is the looming showdown with the Green Bay Packers in Week 1, where Jordan Love has issued a bold warning to Hurts and the Eagles. Love's confidence is sky high after a breakout season, and he's eager to exploit the Eagles' vulnerabilities. Stephen A. has often pointed out that confidence is key in the NFL, and right now, Love seems to have the upper hand. The Eagles' season opener in Brazil is not just another game. It's a defining moment that will set the tone for the entire season. The Eagles are teetering on the brink. Will they rise above the adversity and reclaim their status as one of the NFL's elite teams, or will Hurts' fatal flaw drag them down into mediocrity? The pressure on Hurts has never been higher, and the clock is ticking. This season will either solidify his place among the NFL's top quarterbacks or expose him as a quarterback who couldn't handle the heat when it mattered most. Stephen A. has always stressed that greatness isn't just about talent, it's about mental toughness. And right now, Jalen Hurts is facing the toughest challenge of his career. The question is, will he rise to the occasion, or will this fatal flaw be the undoing of the Philadelphia Eagles?